begin by reviewing the route tables to locate black holes or the lack of route propagation. The main concepts for the route tables are as follows. The first one is the main route table. It is the route table that comes with your VPC by default. It is the in charge of routing for any subnets that are not expressly linked to another route table. Next is customer route table. It is a route table that you construct for your VPC. Destination. This refers to the range of IP addresses to which traffic should be routed. That's like the destination CIDR. An external corporate network, for example, with the CIDR 172.16.0.0/12. Then we have target. It is the gateway, network interface, or connection used to send the destination traffic, such as an internet gateway. Route table association refers to the connection between a route table and a subnet, internet gateway, or the virtual private gateway, which is known as the route table association. Then we got subnet route table, which means a route table connected with a subnet. The other concepts for the route tables are local route. This refers to the VPC's default route for communication. Propagation. Route propagation is basically a process by which a virtual private gateway propagates routes to the route tables automatically. You won't have to manually enter the VPN routes into your route tables as a result of this. Gateway route table. It is a route table connected with an internet gateway or virtual private gateway. Edge association. A route table is used to direct inbound VPC traffic to an appliance. You specify the network interface of your appliance as the target for VPC traffic and associate a route table with the internet gateway or virtual private gateway. Route table associated with a transit gateway. Here you need to check transit gateway route tables in Amazon VPC transit gateways for further details. Local gateway route table. It is a route table that is connected with an outpost local gateway. Next, we will discuss how to examine on-premises devices to identify network reachability. First, we will go through the rules regarding the network reachability package. The network reachability package's rules examine your network configurations for security flaws in your EC2 instances. The findings that Amazon Inspector generates also offer advice on how to limit unsecured access. The AWS Provable Security Initiative's newest technology is used in the Network Reachability Rules package. These rules determine whether your ports can be accessed from the internet via an internet gateway, including the instances behind the application load balancers or the classical load balancers, a VPC peering connection, or a VPN via a virtual gateway. Mismanaged security groups, ACLs, IGWs, and other network setups that allow for potentially malicious access are also highlighted in these studies. These rules automate AWS network monitoring and identify any improper network access to your EC2 instances. You may perform extensive network security tests without having to install scanners or sending the packets, which are both complex and expensive to maintain, especially across the VPC peering connection and the VPNs, if you include this package in your assessment run. Let us look at reachability routes. The following reachability pathways correspond to how your ports can be accessed from outside of your VPC and are checked by the network reachability rules. Gateways to the internet, including application load balancer and the classic load balancers. VPC peering connections are referred to as peered VPC. Virtual private gateways, that's like VGW, are a typical type of virtual private network. Next, we will discuss the types of findings. For each reachability route, an evaluation that incorporates the network reachability rules package can provide the following types of findings. Number 1, recognized port. Number 2, unrecognized port with listener. And number 3, network exposure. Let us see recognized port. It is a possibility to access a port that is commonly used for a well-known service. If an agent is installed on the target EC2 instance, the resulting finding will also show if the port is being used by an active listening process. Findings of this nature are assigned a severity level based on the well-known service's security impact. Recognized port with listener. Through a specialized networking component, a recognized port is externally reachable from the public internet and a process is listening on the port. Recognized port no listener. A port is extremely available from the public internet via a networking component, but no processes are listening to it. Recognized port no agent. A port can be accessed from the public internet via a networking component. Without installing an agent on the target instance, it is indeed impossible to tell if a process is listening on the port or not. Next is unrecognized port with listener. A port that is not in the listing discussed before is reachable and has an active listening process running on it. Findings of this type can only be generated when an Amazon Inspector agent is installed on the EC2 instance, since they show information on the listening processes. This type of information is provided if the severity is low. Number 3, network exposure. This sort of result displays a summary of the ports that are accessible on your EC2 instance. These findings illustrate the reachable set of TCP and the UDP port ranges for each combination of elastic network interfaces and security groups on an EC2 instance. This type of finding is classified as informational. In this topic, we will discuss how to identify the implementation errors or faults in the AWS network configuration. Here are a few points that can be used to serve the purpose. Ensure that both endpoints have the network utilities installed. Use an EC2 instance with advanced networking capabilities and make sure the drivers are updated. When doing performance tests, enhanced networking enables increased I/O with minimal CPU load, which helps minimize instance level difficulties. Connect to your Linux instance to access the instances and verify that your EC2 instance and your own premises server are connected end to end. Next is source for connection problems. Here are some of the sources for connection problems. Start troubleshooting by looking for some of the most typical causes of problems connecting to your instance. Verify your instance's username. You can connect to your instance using either your user account's username or the default username for the AMI you use to launch it. Obtain your user account's username. Retrieve the default username for the AMI you use to start your instance. Check that rules in your security group allow the traffic. Make sure that your security group rules enable inbound traffic on the appropriate port from your public IPv4 address. Check that your instance is ready. It may take a few minutes or an instance to be ready so that you may connect to it after it has been launched. Check to see if your instance is up and running and that it has passed its status check. In order to do that, you can perform the following steps. Firstly, you go to the console.aws.com/ec2 so that you can access the Amazon EC2 console. Then select the instances from the navigation pane and then your instance. You need to double check the following things. Check that your instance is running in the instance state column. Check the status, check the column to see if your instance passes the 2 status checks. And finally, confirm the basic requirements for connecting to your EC2 instance.
For more details, check the link in the description. Learn with Whizlabs. Success certified.